Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be talking to you today about my life, about the experiences that I have had through my career, through my personal life. And I'm going to start the same way I will end this talk. And I'm going to tell you, never, ever give up. If you only remember this through my talk, it will be really cool because really my life has been a lesson of never ever giving up. So I'm going to tell you today about my journey. And I had a little bit of trouble thinking about the title of my talk, but I think this really summarizes what my life has been and what the message I want to convey is. My journey has been about taking risks and overcoming challenges to reach a fulfilled life. And as you will hear throughout the talk, and as the picture in the first slide shows, really a journey is not a straight path. It is really a combination of curves, and along those curves, you're gonna find people who are going to be helping you to reach your goal, but many others are not. So this is also a conversation about how to find mentors, how to find sponsors, and how to value those who actually are able to help you moving forward through your life. So you can hear my accent, and I'm so proud of it. I was born in a small country in Central America, and many of you have heard it because it's a beautiful country to go for tourism, obviously before COVID. It's Costa Rica, and I was born in the capital. The capital of Costa Rica is San Jose, and is pretty much in the middle of the country, surrounded by mountains. So here is the picture of the mountain that I see when I was your age and was an undergraduate student before going to school, before going to college in the morning. This is the view I will see from my mom's house. It was obviously a very beautiful thing to see every morning. As you know, Costa Rica, maybe you don't know, but now you know, Costa Rica is surrounded by oceans. So the Caribbean and the Pacific, and those are pictures of each part of the country, side of the country. And these are a picture that I took about 3 or 4 years ago when I took my family for vacation. It is an extraordinary little country. Education is really primary, as well as a primary goal, as well as health. So I'm very grateful that I had great educators, and that I really have most of my education there before I came to the United States. But no one is successful without their family support. And here are pictures that I treasure with my life. And these are my family. These are my family members. And I always say that they are for whom I wake up every morning and give thanks. And that's true. It is really true. I have children. I have 3 boys, and one is already a junior in college. He is at the University of Illinois at Chicago, and he is going for computer science. Very difficult subject, of course. Many of you are computer scientists. And with the pandemic has been challenging to manage everything. My middle son is in the autism spectrum. And so he goes to special school, and, we have a lot of challenges, but he taught me so much about resilience and moving forward always and never giving up. He is now an adult, but we have him in our house and helping him to move forward, and we take a day at a time. My youngest is now a junior in high school, and again, he has also some disabilities that are already recovered from, and so I live at home a life that is not just challenging in terms of their disabilities, but also rewarding to see how we as a family are able to support each other and move forward as a family. So this is what I shared, that most of us, no matter how successful you see a person, they do have challenges that at some point in their life they have to overcome. So as I said, when we started this conversation, I come from a family of humble beginnings. I came from a family of farmers. None of these people here are my relatives, but when I was, again, very young, I used to go to help my grandfather from my mom's side to collect coffee in one of his farms, coffee plantations. And what I treasure the most about those memories is actually the fact that people were really, really hardworking. Everyone who he hired to help they have a huge heart. They work very hard. They were humble people, and they taught me so much about honesty, about transparency, and about always helping each other. Even in the situations where we were collecting the coffee beans, the more senior people will give us advice on how to do it in a better way. And I always remember those lessons because they really helped me to become a stronger person and to value the help that others can provide. This is actually the town where I was born. For those of you who happen to be of the Catholic religion, I was baptized, confirmed, and married in this church. This church is a national landmark in Costa Rica. It's in the town where I was born, in the capital. The town is called Escazú. It is in the top of the mountains, and it's just a beautiful place. And this is a tribute, this ox cart and the people working with it is a tribute of all the farmers that really moved forward in the country and created the framework that now we have in Costa Rica. So a tribute to all those people who work very hard. As many of you are, I am the first in my family to go to college, and that also includes the extended family. For a lot of us Latin Americans, when we say family, we are not talking about immediate family. We're talking about everyone in our families: uncles, grandparents, cousins, first cousins, second cousins. We include everyone. So from my huge extended family, I am the first person who was blessed to attend college. I have to say that I was really an excellent student in high school, and every year I got the awards for the best grade while I was in elementary and in high school. Not to brag, but it was also a tribute to my grandmother and my mom. They really raised me with very, very high values, and they taught me always to be kind and to never, ever give up. Remember, the lesson we're going to learn today is never, ever give up. Did not really, except for my grandmother and my mom, in terms of pushing me hard, I did not have role models that were professionally prepared, or even within the groups of friends that we had. And I also, of course, encountered some financial challenges. And the other aspect here is that, as you saw in those pictures, most of the people at the time in my hometown were not, they didn't go to college. Most of them didn't. And also the question was, why you, being a woman, want to go to college? There were other careers that are very, very valuable, but none of them were really, some of them were not, people will question why you wanted to go to college if you were a woman. So there were, again, things that I have to overcome, bridges that I have to cross with the environment that surrounded me when I was about your age. And therefore, all those experiences actually make me value what I was able to accomplish. And again, most of us come from situations where we do have to overcome barriers. And so those were some of my barriers at the beginning. As you can imagine, that transition from living in a fairly small town. Now the town is large and is a very beautiful place. But when I was growing up, it wasn't a big town. Most people know each other. Knew each other. Excuse me. Most people did, and so I come from a high school that had about probably 500, 600 students. For the whole town, there was only one high school. And I was given a full ride scholarship to the largest and best universities in the country, La Universidad de Costa Rica. The university now, or when I was an undergrad, a freshman, the university had about 40,000 students. Now I think it's getting to about 50,000 students, maybe more. So a little bit of my academic background and career trajectory. This is a straight line, but remember what I said, there isn't really a straight line. This is just because I couldn't find any other ways to represent this, to be honest. But it is a really an interesting path, because people ask me, when you were an undergrad or even in graduate school, and I will talk about graduate school for a moment, have you ever thought that you can be actually, first of all, out of your country, and second, to hold a position that is a leadership position and a lot of responsibilities? Of course not. I will not have that. I wanted to continue working hard, and I wanted to reach my highest goals, but very few people have this vision. But what happened is, as you mature, as you get surrounded by mentors, you are going to get advice from them. You're going to get advice from them, and they will present options to you, and you make choices as well. The choices that you make are very important. And so, as I mentioned to you, I started my bachelor's degree and master's, or I finished my bachelor's and master's in chemistry at the University of Costa Rica. And I didn't mention why I went into chemistry. I think it's 30 seconds to tell the story. When I was in high school, I loved everything. I really had a hard time thinking what I'm going to study. I love math. I love sciences in general. I love economics. One thing I didn't want to be was a lawyer. Nothing wrong with lawyers, but it was something that really, fit my personality. And so I had a extraordinary chemistry teacher, and she really was academically my first mentor when I was in high school. And as I was, preparing for my admission exams, similar to an SAT, but it's a different kind of exam for us. It's not subject oriented than more. It's a different exam. She would say, I think you should be in research. And I'm thinking, I have no idea what research means at the time. And she said, you should not, sell yourself short. You should, go to pursue a strong field and then go into research. And of course, again, I have no idea what she meant. But because I really was a great student in chemistry, I decided to major in chemistry. I follow my passion. I love the subject. I love the challenges, right? Chemistry is not an easy field. And none of your fields are easy, but I think, sometimes students are afraid of chemistry. They shouldn't. You should not be afraid of chemistry, because it's really a way to understand how things are connected in nature, right? So I decided to major in chemistry. Very difficult transition again, but my high school teacher, really was the person to instill in me the confidence that I could pursue a degree in chemistry. And she actually went to my mom's house to say, she should not go for a technical or anything that is not university granted major or field. She should really go into the university. And because of her, my mom said, okay, let's hope, let's help her. And that's why I went to the university. So I studied, got my bachelor's. I started working in research probably when I was a junior. Summers I will be working with the researchers mainly in analytical chemistry. That was my major. In analytical chemistry with emphasis on environmental processes. And so I love research. I was so excited to every summer to work with researchers. We have some professors from Germany who came also to work with us. That was really good. And then I stayed for my master's degree at the same university, of course, and got my master's degree in chemistry. Thinking about a PhD, I did not even know how to start thinking about a PhD. But we had a wonderful professor who unfortunately passed away a few years ago from the University of Wisconsin at Madison, who came for a sabbatical leave to Costa Rica. And he came and asked us, why are you not applying? And not just myself, but a lot of our classmates, why you are not applying to grad school in the United States or Europe? And we said, what? I mean, we only saw the very rich students who went to graduate school. We really have no idea how even to start the application process. So Dr. Hall, Lyle Hall was his name. Dr. Hall actually sat down with each of us, and we were about 30 to 40, maybe 30, the first cohort of students. He sat with each of us and helped us to apply for graduate school. It was something like the university was like, what is this guy doing? Because he's taking all the students that we wanted them to stay at the university for teaching. But that was the best thing he ever did. He opened our eyes. He gave us the opportunity to those who otherwise wouldn't have it, to think about going to another country and getting a degree. So he helped me to apply to several schools. And of course, the caveat was I cannot go if I don't get a full scholarship for tuition, course, and room and board. And as you know, many of the chemistry departments need TAs and RAs. And so he applied really for me. I did not know about where the schools were. I have no idea that Chicago had those winters. Remember, the internet wasn't really available. You cannot just Google weather in Chicago and get the information, right? It wasn't available or rarely available like it is right now. And so he helped me to apply, and I actually got accepted at several schools, but at the time I was really thinking about energy. And so I went to NIU to work with with Professor Peter Vanesse in energy storage and electrochemistry. And so he had a project funded, and I did not have to do TA, but I was a research assistant from the beginning. So he hired me as a research assistant at NIU. I have to say, the Cal wasn't exactly the place that I like to spend a lot of time. Coming from, again, even though Costa Rica is small, but I spent almost my time in the capital, which has about 1.5 million people, and going to the Cal at the time was it's a nice campus, it's a beautiful university. It's just the setting wasn't really something that I like to spend. And so I actually had I tried to finish my PhD as soon as possible so I can move on with a postdoctoral position. So I finished my PhD both in chemistry and in material science in about 3.5 years. It was a record, of course, but I did have a master's already. So I had a lot of understanding of what research needs, how research has to be conducted. And so I worked very hard, and I was able to actually transition quickly out of the PhD program. I love the Cal now. Now that I have kids, I said the Cal is a really nice place to raise a family. Very quiet, very safe. But when you are a little younger, you have, different mindset. So Dr. Vanisek had contacts at Argonne National Laboratory. And this is the other lesson that I want you to know, is that it's so important to establish a network as early as possible. I was very lucky that my professor had strong ties with Argonne National Laboratory. And I actually applied to Argonne National Laboratory, knowing more about it than a lot of people know about institutions. Again, let's remember this is 1994, right? The internet wasn't as good as it is right now. And then you have to, a lot of times, really pick up the phone and talk to people instead of browsing around. So I did apply to Argonne National Laboratory for a postdoctoral position. And I was, again, blessed and lucky to receive, before I graduated, I really had the offer to come to Argonne for a postdoc, but of course I had to finish my thesis and publish a few papers that I have pending before I transitioned. I came to Argonne in September of 1994. My idea was 2 years at Argonne, and then transition to a faculty position, because I always loved research, and the second passion for me is education. But my husband, at the time, when I was at NIU, I met my husband, who was graduating as well, and he was born in Peru. And so we had to make a decision where to go back to Costa Rica, to go back to Peru, or to stay for a few years, save some money, and go back. And so we had this dilemma for a few years. And so we decided after my postdoctoral position ending that we will stay in this country if the opportunities for both of us open up. So Argonne was a tremendous asset for me. I just have the best mentors, an incredible group of friends that I established throughout my postdoctoral position, immense resources. So I love to stay at Argonne, but only between 5 and 10% of postdoctoral appointees become staff. So I knew that I had to start looking for jobs right away. And I did get 2 offers for faculty positions. But at the time, my husband also got offers to stay in the Chicagoland area. And one of the things that we have decided early on was that no matter what happened in our lives, we will not be separated. I know that circumstances for some families are different, and we should respect decisions completely. And sometimes a family decided to live, away from each other for a while, but that was something that we decided not to. So at the same time, Argonne came with an offer for an assistant chemist, and that was really a great thing for me, because now my husband has a job in the Chicagoland area. He's an electrical engineer. He had a master from NIU and a PhD from IIT, the Illinois Institute of Technology. And he was not looking for academia. He was looking for industry. So it was perfect for us. He was doing what he loves to do, and I was doing what I love to do, what I still love to do. So I stayed at Argonne for 19 years straight. Argonne is, to me, the place that raised me professionally, and also the University of Costa Rica too. But I feel that Argonne really was this entity that provided me with all the opportunities and all the resources for me to really become the professional that I am now. Absolutely amazing mentors. Of course, there are things that are not always 100% fine, but again, you learn to move forward. After 19 years at Argonne, and due to personal reasons, mainly because of the health of one of my children, I decided to change a little bit the pace in my life and to take a job that was more administrative and not so much research oriented. And that was actually a risk. Again, talking about risks. I was so familiar with Argonne, 19 years here. I also had some, not just scientific responsibilities at Argonne. I was also the program lead for the postdoctoral program that I established, and now is super strong at Argonne. So I did have responsibilities in terms of administration. So I had experience. And so when Rush University had a opportunity for me to be the senior director of mentoring programs, and also I will become an associate professor in the Rush Medical College, I took the risk. It was a risk. It wasn't an environment that I was comfortable with. It was biomedical research as opposed to basic sciences research in physical sciences. It was a different institution, different goals, and it was actually a risk that I took. I'm so happy that I took the risk. Not only I learned a tremendous amount of administration and management and leadership, but I also have a network of friends that I will carry with me for life, and people who not only have been extremely important for me for my own health and my children's and family health, but also the research that they are conducting is top-notch in the country. So I am again humbled that I was able to help them move some of the programs that they were moving forward. And when I left the programs in very high standing, excuse me. So again, the opportunity came and I took it. Again, life changes is one of those things. And I needed to be closer to my family in terms of the commute. The commute from the suburbs in Chicago to Chicago downtown, even though it wasn't a big distance, it is sometimes very challenging. And so I seek again to come back to closer to home, to be closer to my children when they needed it, especially for one of them. And one of those things in life where I was looking for, coming back to the suburbs again, in the Deputy Division Director position at Argonne posted. I matched my skills to the job description, and I really felt that my skills and experiences throughout my career were a match for what Argonne was looking for. And I put my name forward. And I'm happy to be helping Argonne again in whatever I can to make the institution stronger every day. I value my colleagues. They're extremely important in terms of the scientific endeavors that they are conducting. Being a scientist is one of the most difficult things, but the most rewarding things to do. So I am, again, very lucky and humbled to be back to Argonne and continue to move forward the science that they are doing in the future, and now and in the future. So we talk about a little bit about challenges. So I gave you the timeline. And now I'm going to go a little bit more on really what it was to be in each of those spots that I showed you before. So, but BS and Masters in Chemistry at the University of Costa Rica, Universidad de Costa Rica. And this is one of the challenges that I have in my life, that I was a younger student. And therefore, when I became an instructor of analytical chemistry, they also made me a laboratory coordinator for all the analytical chemistry classes after I got my master's degree. And actually, even before that, I was already teaching a little bit. Of course, you cannot teach without a master's at least, or Ph.D. But the university they were grooming me to stay at the university. So at age of 23, I have to manage 22 teaching assistants and 3 full-time laboratory assistants. So that was actually difficult. That was very difficult. It was, I need to learn how to manage effectively. And, a lot of the students were only about 3-4 years older than me. So that was a challenge. And because I have excellent mentors, I always went and seek, advice from them. But one thing that is very important here is that I had the mentors, they trusted me, but they offered guidance only when I asked and always respected my independence. So I think sometimes mentors, we want a mini-me, right? We want someone that looks like me and think like me. I think that's one of the challenges of being a mentor, is that you have to respect someone's ideas, and you have to respect their independence, and you are to give advice when they ask, or when you see that things are going really not well, you can come and say, what are you about? You thinking, how do you see the situation? What are you thinking about? Let's have a conversation. But I think it's hard for mentors many times not to steer the situation that it will reflect on them, not the person who they are mentoring. So I was lucky that I have this kind of mentorship when I was very young, because it's a lot of responsibility for someone at 23 to be actually managing over 25 people. But that really helped me, and of course I make a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned also from those mistakes, and I try not to make the same mistakes twice. Sometimes it happens, but we have to understand what the circumstances are, and how we can actually correct those situations. As I said before, I got my Ph.D. from NIU, Northern Illinois University, Go Huskies, in 1994, with Dr. Peter Banisek, and joined Argonne as a postdoc in September of 1994. Here are, I was promoted as an assistant scientist, which is equivalent to an assistant professor if you look at the same scale, same ranking as universities, in 1996. So it's March. So it was a little less than a year and a half that I actually got the promotion. So came back to Argonne, right? And one of the questions that I was asked by the committee, and I want to share with you this, and it made me really thought about a lot. Made me think a lot about this, was why you want to come back? Why are you offering to Argonne? And I really want to, and in a way, what I did was, what I'm doing as a deputy division director right now. And because people ask me, what does a deputy do? What does a deputy do? Is, first of all, a deputy supports the director in their vision. We are here to support the strategic planning that the division director wants to undertake in a particular area. But I was thinking, when I was coming back, thinking, why really I'm qualified to do this, and why can I bring back to Argonne again? And I think in this slide, it summarizes a lot of things. I developed and managed programs for over 19 years. And one of the most important things is that I do understand the challenges and continue searching for funding in an ever competitive environment. It is challenging, very challenging, but with the right support, we can continue bringing funding to conduct the research that is very important for the country and for the world in general. So understanding this really makes me unique, because I have been a scientist. I know how it is, how hard it is, and I also understand the management piece of that. So that's actually one of the things that I will be doing, is supporting, again, those who are going to be searching for, or continue searching for funding, how to provide maybe seminar writing skills, how to provide discussion sessions, how to provide communication skills, etc., that are going to make them stronger and more competitive. I do understand the Department of Energy and Argonne policies, rules, and regulations. And that really is something very important that I have to do, is understand those policies and making sure that we are compliant with all our policies. So every institution have their own policies. So you have to understand, and you have to provide advice, and many times write part of those policies. I love to communicate in general, and I communicate effectively with the basic scientists because I am one. I teach all the basic scientists, but I also have lots of students who were engineers or were getting their PhDs or masters in engineering. I have been an administrator. I am one, so understanding that is very important. I love to talk to trainees and help trainees, graduate students, and undergrad from many different fields. So this is another core that I do, is really communicating effectively with all of them, making sure that we all are speaking in the same language in a way, and respecting each of them opinions so that we can clear expectations and work as a team. And one thing that is very interesting for me thinking is that I led programs in two institutions that are very, very different. The research and development is different in both. Their mission is different, and yet I was able to successfully perform those duties and move those programs along. And those programs, both in the postdoctoral program when I did it at Argonne and the mentoring programs at Rush, have been both nationally recognized for the impact. And so having a vision is very important. What did you want your work to be in the end? That vision is very important. We don't have to have huge vision. We can start small, but what is our vision? And then you do need training. Remember the cartoon I show you? We do need training. So I have seek and offered as well extensive management and leadership training. We need to educate ourselves, and it's a continuum. It's not going to stop. So this is my humble advice to all of you. I encourage you to stay focused, but be flexible. Look at what happened with this pandemic. 5 years ago, we absolutely had no idea that we will be here. And yet today, we have learned to do virtual meetings. People like me were like, virtual meetings? This is never going to work. And look, I have to eat my words. It did work. We have to be flexible. We have to adapt. And this is what we have to do, adapt to the situation. You need to discuss and collaborate with as many people as you can. Everyone will have an opinion and a perspective. You don't have to agree with everything, but you have to respect, and you will learn a tremendous amount of ideas and get a lot of ideas from many people, from other people. So try to collaborate and discuss as much as you can. This is very important for your students. You have to communicate clearly and often with your supervisor and mentors. Not just when things are going well, or not just when things are going bad. Keep an open communication channel. Really share the good things and share the things that need to work. They need a little work. The more we communicate with each other, the more we understand. And a lot of things are really simply a misunderstanding. Let's really try to be open about that. My life has been networking from since I was very, very young. And so I have to say with 100% certainty that networking is a powerful tool. Do not underestimate it. You never know who is going to open doors for you or you to them. I always used to tell my graduate students, you never know who is going to be the next NSF or NIH or DOE program manager from this group. And not because you wanted that interest, just because you want to take advantage of that. You don't want that. But you never know who really is going to help and offer you advice and say, well, there is a job opening, why don't you apply for this? So likewise, when someone asks for your help, be there for them. Offer yourself for help, to help. This is very important for mentors. especially those who mentor grad students and postdocs, says a lot of times we want people to be like us and to go to places like we did. And this is, you can advise, you can provide some guidance, but realistically that you have to be respectful and supportive of your colleagues and students' career decisions. Many of them want to go into academia. Many of them want to go to industry. Many of them national labs. Many of them administration. Many of them want to change completely their career path. And there are personal reasons why people do that, and professional reasons as well. So I don't agree with colleagues that say that, well, you did all this and all of a sudden you're going to change to it. Is you can only advise and provide as much support, but in the end, the decision is theirs, not yours. And this is really important. This is really important. People know when you enjoy things because you speak, right? You speak about it. Enjoy what you're doing. But if you are not enjoying what you're doing, evaluate. And you might have to change paths. And there's nothing wrong with it. So be truthful to yourself. Really, be truthful to yourself. Is this what I want to do? Is this really what I enjoy doing? And sometimes it doesn't need a full change. It might need just a adding to it that is going to make the difference in how you feel. So I also like to do fun things, right? Not everything has been the struggles and successes and so forth. I do love spending as much time I can with my family. And, to be realistic, when I was younger, it was hard because starting a career is not an easy thing when you have family and when you have a partner who also is a professional, that also are looking for a career advancement. So yes, it was difficult, but I really try always to have time for my family. Love reading. I love reading. I love traveling. Unfortunately, we cannot anymore for a while, but I hope that things will settle and we are able to do that again. Love taking long walks. Now that I have a dog, the kids told me, let's get a dog and we walk them. Of course not. Now it's me who is walking the dog, but that's okay. Love volunteering as well. I think we have to pay forward. This is something in my heart. And of course, friends are dear to my heart. And as much as I can, not with COVID, but eventually, I really like to spend quality time with them. And this is something that most people quote. But I wanted to read it again because it's really what I believe strongly. From Maya Angelou, I have learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel. Every time you find someone who is new to your circle, anyone who is new to your environment, try to make them feel well. They will remember that. I tell my children, whenever you see a kid in school who no one wants to talk, you are responsible for making this person feel better. And they have done that. So my lesson has been, they learn my lesson, but it's true. You don't remember a lot of things, but you remember how people make you feel. And I wanted to thank you for your time, for listening to my story. But the main thing I wanted to give you, remember my lesson, is if you don't remember anything from this talk, the main thing that you want to learn, I want you to remember, is never, ever give up. Never, ever give up. You have it. You can do it. You can do it and find people who can help you as well. Thank you so much.